Sometimes people do feel that way. Sometimes your life feels like it's caving in on you. Sometimes people really do feel like they don't want to exist. Like they just want to curl up into a ball on the floor and go to that place between life and death. This is serious. Saying I don't want to exist is not saying I want to die. It's saying I wish for the meantime, like I wish like for right now I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to feel any pain. I don't want to feel any suffering. I don't want to be sad anymore. Like you just want to go somewhere so that you don't have to feel anything. And if you don't know how it feels to feel that way, then you have no right and you have no place to judge someone that does. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kiki and I'm back again with another video. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys my mental health story. Basically, I've been on a journey and I think it's really important that I spread awareness. This week is Mental Health Awareness Week, which is running from Monday the 10th of May until Sunday the 16th of May. So where do I start? This video might be a little bit triggering to some, so I just want to put that out there as well. I'm going to try and be as honest and open as possible. I know a lot of young people especially that suffer in silence because they don't have a voice, they don't want to speak about their problems and all these things. But I'm here to tell you that you are not alone, okay? You are not alone. People go through mental health and you can look at someone and you would have no idea what they've gone through, do you know what I mean? So it's important that we're kind to one another and mindful with what we say to each other, because you never know what people are going through. So I don't even know where to start, honestly. So I'm going to start off by saying up until the age of 15 years old I was actually an only child. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. When I turned 15 I got 3 siblings within like 2 years, so it was a bit mad. But up until the age of 15 I had no siblings. As a child I would say like I was a really shy, quiet girl. Like I didn't like to be around people. Like it actually gave me anxiety. When I look back I feel like I've had anxiety from a very young age. I just really didn't like to be centre of attention, and then that went on to secondary school. Like it really affected me in secondary school. So like for example in English class, like we all had to read a page of a book or something like that. So as we're going around the classroom, like I'm sweating buckets because I do not want to read out loud to the class. Do you know what I mean? I'm so nervous. I don't know why I was so nervous, but it really gave me anxiety. And I would count how many people were in front of me, and then I'd count the pages to see which page I had to read. Like it was just a lot. I didn't like to be centre of attention. I didn't like people looking at me, all eyes on me, all ears on me. I didn't like that. Class presentations, that was a big no-no for me. Like that, I was so nervous to do class presentations. I did not want to stand up in front of the class. I would even say up until now I'd still feel a bit anxious to like do public speaking, which is something I really want to work on this year. I didn't like everyone looking at me, everyone staring at me. My absolute worst subject in secondary school would definitely have to have been drama, because again you want to get me acting on demand. You want me acting in front of everyone. Like I was just so scared and nervous. Like I just didn't want to embarrass myself, do you know what I mean? And I just felt like people were always gonna laugh at me. I don't know, it was just a very high level of anxiety that I did not realise at the time. I just thought I had very low self-esteem and I didn't have much confidence at all. So I found secondary school really difficult. So I went to 2 secondary schools, and the first secondary school, which I went to when I was 11 years old, was a private school. It was a private school, so I'd say about 95% of the school, like the whole school, was not black. They weren't black, they weren't the same colour as me. There was probably there was a couple mixed race, and then majority was literally white. Like the whole school was majority of white people. Automatically I was out of place because of my skin, because of my hair and these different things. Secondly, going to this private school, the majority of the pupils at the school came from wealthy backgrounds. That was not myself. I came from a single parent household in a council flat, do you know what I mean? And all these other pupils at the school, 95% had 2-parent households, big house, big garden, big back garden, big front garden. Some had cleaners. Like it was it was just completely 2 different worlds, do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that I fit in exactly, and I could afford the things that they could buy, and they was always wearing designer this, designer that to school and all these different things. I don't think I even understood the value of money that much at the age of 11, but I knew that there was a difference. I knew that there was a big difference between me and everyone else. We started at the age of 11 in year 7 at this private school. Everyone in my year, in year 7, they all knew each other because they'd all gone to the same primary schools, so everyone knew everyone. I didn't go to any of the primary schools that they had gone to. I'd gone to a completely different private school in a different borough altogether. I was the new girl, even though it was like everyone's first day. I would say I felt out of place from day one, really. At this school, I didn't really have a set group of friends. Like, I was literally just friends with everybody. In those private schools, the classes are a lot smaller. That's something with private schools. The classroom sizes are not like public schools. There's probably about, I don't know, there's probably about 12 people per class, literally. And you've got to give in your phones in the morning. Like, you've got to hand in your phones, they get put in a box in the morning, and then you get them back at the end of the day at 5 p.m. 5 p.m, yeah, they were very long days as well. So, yeah, it was just very strange. So in year 8, a new girl joined us. She was, I don't know what the word really is, but she was an emo girl. I really don't know if that's the correct term. I apologise if it is not. She wore black clothes all the time. She wore the black eyeliner, black nail varnish. She liked rock music and all that sort of stuff. And she was very quiet. She didn't really speak to many people. And you know, I was like, because I've felt like the new girl, I've been the new girl before, I befriended her, and once we became really close and we was talking, she was actually a really lovely girl. She was just really quiet. Now, I mentioned this girl because I feel she played quite a significant part in how my mental health played out, and I'm going to get into that now. Now, this girl, she had depression. Yeah, it was probably about 12 at the time, and she had depression that she used to speak to me about. She was just a very dark girl. So she used to talk to me about everything. Like, she was really open to me, and she actually introduced me to the world of self-harming. Now, that's what she done to cope with her problems and things like that. Prior to meeting this girl and having these conversations, like, I'd known nothing about it. I didn't know, like, I don't even think I knew that sort of thing existed and all these things. Like, it was just completely new to me. But she was very open and speak to me about things in great detail. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably not conversations 12-year-olds should be having. She would tell me things, she would show me her arms, and you know, I had no idea. Like, I just had no idea about any of it, so it was all new to me. But I feel like I was subconsciously soaking in everything she was telling me, without even realising. Like, I was soaking up, and it was getting stored in the back of my mind. Like, that's how she dealt with her problems, and it's not the right way. Obviously, now that I'm older, but at the time I didn't really question it. I didn't question her about it. I just thought, like, oh, this is a way to cope with things. Like, this is what people do, sort of thing. I would say my school years were quite rocky. They were quite unstable. Like, I was here, there and everywhere. I never really felt settled. So I'm entering my teenage years. I'm turning 13. You know, I'm a new teenager going through all these different changes, mentally, physically, hormonally. Like, all these different things are going on. It's really, really overwhelming for me at that age. Me and my mum didn't have, I wouldn't say we had a great relationship throughout my teenage years. Throughout school, it was hard. When it was overwhelming. At home, it was hard and it was overwhelming. So I was just going through a lot at the time. But yeah, I was going through a lot at the time, and I had nobody to talk to. Well, I felt like I had no one to talk to about it. I would say not long after meeting this girl, and you know, not long after being friends with this girl, I actually began to take on some of her coping ways. I began to self-harm. Yeah, I began to self-harm soon after becoming friends with this girl, and obviously didn't tell anyone about it. I think I spoke to her about it, and she used to speak to me about it, but other than that, I didn't speak to anyone about it. No one knew about it. If you've gone through anything like that, then you know, when you're doing that, you're going to be wearing long sleeves. You're just going to become very discreet, very quiet. Say between the ages of 12, 13 to 16, I just spiraled into a dark place. One of the darkest places of depression you can really go. Like, it was very difficult for me. This is a bit uncomfortable for me to talk about because I've literally not spoken. I don't speak about this. This is something I don't speak about. Like, it's not something I bring up. Like, it's just something that I've locked away deep in my mind, and that is my past. But do you know what? When you go through deep things, you can really inspire and you can really help other people. Like, even if this video helps one person, even if this video touches one person, even if this video is relatable to one person, I'm cool with that, because we need to spread awareness of these things. People don't like to talk about this sort of stuff because it's an uncomfortable, touchy subject, you know what I mean? Too many people suffer in silence, and you don't have to, you do not have to, because it's a scary place to be. But looking back, I can literally see how I just went downhill. Like, I would even go as far to say as there was something spiritual going on in my life in my teenage years, because I used to have these dreams as well, like these bad dreams, like bad thoughts. My depression was bad, and people didn't know about it. People did not know about it. So yeah, everything I'm telling you is like from a vague age, from 11 to 16, because I don't really remember each date that things happened, the age, because for some reason I feel like my teenage years was filled with a lot of trauma. I feel like my teenage years was filled with a lot of trauma, and it's all a blur to me. It's very blurry. I remember a lot of things, but then I don't. Do you know what I mean? So just work with me. Halfway through year 9, so in the UK, year 9 is, I think, what age? I think it's age 12 to 13, is it? Or 13 to 14. But anyways, halfway through year 9, I actually changed schools. I left the private school and I went to a public school. I went to a public school, and oh my days. I went to this public school, bearing in mind that I went to a private primary school as well. So anyways, I went to this public school and there was bare people like me. I was just like, what? There's so many black people, there's so many people like me, like same sort of backgrounds and things like that. So I felt a lot more comfortable there, I'm not gonna lie. I felt a lot more comfortable, but at the same time, again, I'm still the new girl again, all over again. So that was quite hard for me, because I wasn't the type of person that would just go and like make friends with everyone. Like, I was quite a shy person, and I felt awkward, and I didn't know how to approach people, and I didn't know if people wanted to be my friend. Obviously over time I made friends, but initially it was very difficult for me, and again, it was a whole nother transition to go through. So without going into too much detail, there were several events that happened during my time in secondary school that resulted in me self-harming, and it did actually become like a regular thing. It became my first go-to resort to dealing with my feelings, and this is the sort of thing where if you do it once, you're gonna keep doing it. It's like drugs. You take drugs one time, you're going to repeatedly keep doing it, and it's a very toxic, negative, scary, dangerous cycle. So yeah, my mental health was up and down for years. Like, it was years, and I did not deal with stress in a healthy way whatsoever. Like, I remember there was a period of time where I didn't want to eat. I don't know what was going on in my mind during the time, but I wasn't eating. I was losing a lot of weight, and I was just on a road of self-destruction. I was on a road of self-destruction. I was a seriously depressed teenager, and I didn't ask for help. I didn't reach out to anybody for help. I was just dealing with everything all by myself, and obviously it was too much for me to deal with because I wasn't dealing with it correctly at all. Again, as I said before, I was an only child, so it's not like I had a brother or a sister that I could speak to or anything like that. Like, I just felt really alone during that period of time. One day I went to school. On my way to school, I went into Sainsbury's, and how did I even do that? I bought medication, just random pills, random tablets. I don't know how I bought that, because now you're not allowed to buy more than 1 or 2 boxes, then you have to be over the age of a certain 16 or 18 or something like that. But anyways, that's what happened, and then I went to school. The reason I was doing that because I felt like that was what I had to do. Like, I wasn't thinking straight. I was just so confused with what was going on and how I was feeling that I just wanted it to stop. I wanted it all to end, and that was it. So I bought that medication from the shop, and I went on my way to school. I bought that with the intention of taking every single tablet at school, and that didn't go to plan. I think someone saw some stuff saw them in my bag or something, and they told the teacher, and then they found out about that, and then that's when my whole mental health really got exposed to them, and it all got brought to light. So the school obviously informs my parents about the situation. I got referred to CAMS. CAMS is a term for services that support children and young people who have difficulties with their emotional or behavioural well-being. So now I was going to counselling. Yeah, it's a counselling service. Between the ages of 13 and 15 I was going to CAMS. I wasn't a big fan of it, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the people that have used that service have actually said that it wasn't very helpful, and that is exactly the experience that I had. It's very difficult for a child to open up, like genuinely open up to someone they know, let alone a stranger. Do you know what I mean? Obviously they're trained and they're professionals, so they know how to get you to open up, but if the child is shy and doesn't really express their feelings in general, and they don't really talk about how they feel, like myself at the time, then it's going to be very difficult. And so it was just a big room with 2 chairs, and she would speak to me, and she did a lot of like it was almost like a fake concern, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not stupid. I may be a child, but I'm not stupid. I can see like what is the point for this? So I was going for a while. I was going for a few months, and then I feel like I stopped going, and I didn't regret not going, because honestly it was not helping me at all. It may help others, it didn't help me. That's just my personal experience. Yeah, I stopped going to CAMS, but my problems did not stop. I struggled with my mental health for a long time after secondary school. Like I was doing all sorts of coping mechanisms, and they weren't healthy. There was not healthy ones. I started smoking at the age of 17. Like at 17 I'd tried my first cigarette, but at the time I feel like we used to just smoke to be cool. Me and a couple girls, we used to smoke at lunch breaks, at sixth form. They are disgusting because they're nasty. Yeah, they're disgusting. Stay away from them. I call them cancer on a stick because that's literally what it is. So yeah, I started to smoke at that age, at that young age. This is how you know I wasn't even a smoker. I used to get the green menthol Mayfair. I used to get the green menthol Mayfair. They didn't really taste of nastiness, do you know what I mean? It tasted of mint. That's what we used to do. But after secondary school, after 16, the school had a sixth form. The first year wasn't too bad. The first year was alright, but then like I feel like I had a lot going on at home and things like that, so grades started dropping. Like I lost interest in a lot of things. I was studying health and social care and sociology at sixth form, and the sociology I was just finding it so difficult, and everyone else seemed to be understanding it, and I felt really stupid for not knowing what was happening. I couldn't remember things, I couldn't do the essays and all these different things. So eventually I think the teacher took me off the course in the second year, because she was just like no. And then health and social care, I was actually really good at that, but I was skipping classes. I just had no motivation for education. I just didn't want to do it. I was just getting really bored of school. So eventually I ended up dropping out, unfortunately. I feel like my mental health played a big part in me dropping out of sixth form, because I just had too much going on. I was overwhelmed. I was absolutely overwhelmed, and I couldn't do it. Mental health and the company that I was keeping played a big part in me dropping out of sixth form. Silly enough, I dropped out just at the end. Like I was at the end. There was maybe a few months left to go, and yeah, so that was a waste. But clearly I wasn't thinking straight. I was not thinking straight, and that is something I definitely regret, is dropping out months before the end of the year. Like if I just kept pushing, but that's what happened. Yeah, but I was 18 years old when I left sixth form, and just before my 19th birthday, I would say about 3 months before my 19th birthday, I fell pregnant with my son Zion, who is 4 very, very soon. During my pregnancy with Zion, the relationship with Zion's dad broke down. It broke down, and that really affected my mental health. Obviously, throwing in pregnancy hormones into the mix, my mental health went so left. it went all the way left, because sharp left, do you get it? I was really finding it hard. That pregnancy was really difficult for me as well. Like towards the end of the pregnancy, I had to say to the midwives and stuff, like, I can't do this anymore, like physically I can't do this anymore. Like I made them induce me, which was silly of me, because getting induced is so much more painful than a natural birth. But I couldn't, like, I couldn't do it anymore. I needed baby out of my body, so they did induce me with the medical reason of depression. Like, I was depressed. A few months after Zion was born, I was officially diagnosed with postnatal depression. So I went through all of that. I'm going to do a whole separate video on postnatal depression, because I feel like that is something else that really needs to be brought to light and spread awareness for women and for males, because guys, men, you need to know what is actually going on with your woman. Do you know what I mean? You need to understand, you need to be on board with what is happening when a woman is going through postnatal depression. That was really difficult for me to deal with, and it made being a new mum not so glamorous. It made being a new mum very, very hard. I actually did reach out to the GP about how I was feeling and things like that, and he listens to me. He was rubbish, man. He listened to me. He was listening, he was nodding, typing away, and then he prescribed me with some medication. Now, I'm not being funny, I don't really like to just take medication, especially for mental health. I don't like to take medication. There's other options before medicating somebody and prescribing them with medication, do you understand? He didn't offer me counselling or anything like that. So anyways, I ended up taking the medication from him, but I didn't ever actually consume the medication at home. I didn't take it ever, not one time, because I thought, no. I know that anxiety and depression medications can actually make you feel worse before they start working and make you feel better, and the mental state I was at the time, there was absolutely no way like I could be any worse. If I had felt any worse than I did, hand on my heart, I would not be here today. Approximately 3 months after Zion was born, I actually felt pregnant again. Now, this was not planned, this was not something I ever imagined was possible. I was told that if you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. I was told that if you're breastfeeding, you cannot fall pregnant. I fell pregnant, so clearly that's not true. That was crazy to me. I'd just become a new mum and I was pregnant again. My mind was absolutely blown, yeah. And my mind was even more blown for what I'm about to tell you next, because when I went to my 3-month antenatal scan, I got told that I'd had a miscarriage. So yeah, I'd had a miscarriage. Can't lie, dealing with the postnatal depression, dealing with the struggles of being a new mum in general, dealing with the miscarriage and the new baby, it was all just a bit too much. Like, it was actually too much, and my depression worsened extremely. Like, it got a lot worse after the miscarriage. Like, I was trying to process the miscarriage in the first place, because it was a miscarriage, and so that means the baby dies, but it's like your body doesn't register it. Your body doesn't register that the baby has passed away, so the baby's just in your body, and yeah, there's no symptoms, you don't know, like, you wouldn't know until you go to a scan. So I went to this scan, and I'm never going to forget this, and like, I feel like I've got PTSD from it, like when I deep it, because I still even think about it. I still think about that child all the time. I think about how old like they would have been. Like, now I think about just even that moment in time. I think about the fact that it was the day before my 20th birthday that I got told this news, so it was very difficult for me. And yeah, I don't even want to go into too much detail about that, to be fair, because that is still something that I feel like it's always going to affect me. The fact I got told that my baby had no heartbeat the day before my birthday, you could understand why it would cut extra deep. Like, that killed me. I didn't really have much support going through this, because I didn't really tell anyone. No one really knew what was happening. I was dealing with that pretty much on my own. At the time, I was living in the mother and baby unit, so if you want to know what that's like, go and watch my story time of my housing experience, and y'all see what all that was about, because that's a whole nother topic, love. My mental health wasn't great. The mother and baby unit did make my mental health worse, I would say, just up to a certain degree. There was good times, but majority of it was not. It wasn't pleasant. There was a lot of added stress, etc, etc. So yeah, fast forward into my pregnancy with Esme. I didn't really have an enjoyable pregnancy, I would say. I had a lot of anxiety that I'd carried on from the last pregnancy. I was very anxious all of the time. Like, I kept thinking, how do I know my baby's okay? How do I know my baby's okay though? Because I don't know. I didn't know last time, so how do I know this time? Every scan was very hard. I went to most of my appointments, all these things on my own, so it was just a lot for me. I was just going through a very bad time, and I was actually diagnosed with perinatal depression, which is depression during pregnancy. That wasn't great. That was not great. Like, I feel like I've just had so many episodes of deep depression that it's a miracle I'm sitting here today, honestly. It's a miracle, but we move, we keep going. So during that pregnancy, I was sad all the time. I was irritable. I felt like a bad mum to Zion. I felt like he didn't like me. He was going through terrible twos at the time as well, so extremely overwhelmed during this pregnancy. And I'm not going to lie to you, my depression got the better of me during this pregnancy. There were certain points where I felt like, what was the point? Like, what is the point of carrying on? What's the point of carrying on when I feel like this all the time? Like, I was so desperate, and I was getting worried, I was getting scared. Feeling suicidal when you're pregnant with a baby inside of you is an extremely scary feeling. Yeah, I felt like I was losing control of my thoughts. Like, my bad thoughts were overriding the good thoughts every time. Like, there was just no getting out of it. So there was actually a point where this is the first time as well that I actually ended up calling Samaritans. This is a mental health crisis line when you've reached your limit and you can't take life anymore and you don't know what to do. You call them, they sort of talk you out of whatever it is. Anyways, I was talking to this guy on the phone, and I was just telling him everything, how I've been feeling, how I feel, my thoughts, all these things. He called out an ambulance for me to be assessed by somebody. Someone came, and he was really a lovely guy. The guy that came to take me to the hospital was lovely. He spoke to me. He told me that he's got depression. Like the thing with depression is, it's not something that goes away. Like, you need to learn how to deal with it. You need to learn how to cope with it, but it's not something that's completely going to disappear. So it's about how to live with it. He was really considerate, he was really caring, he was really understanding, and he did make me feel a lot better. And when I got to the hospital, I spoke to this lovely lady who she just had a conversation with me, and I just offloaded everything onto her, and she made me feel like my feelings were valid. She made me feel like everything I'd gone through, it was a valid reason for me to have got to the point I had gotten to. Like, getting help is the first step. So calling Samaritans, I mean, it was a good thing in the long run. She sat down and she spoke to me about different options, different sorts of counselling, different sorts of therapy, different sorts of medications, and all the things, and what I wanted. So I actually opted for her to refer me to get CBT. CBT is cognitive behaviour therapy. It's a form of psychological treatment that has been demonstrated to be effective for a range of different problems such as depression, anxiety, alcohol, drug abuse, eating disorders, and severe mental health and mental illnesses, and all those sorts of things. So they cover a range of different things. I'm not gonna lie, guys, that CBT, it changed my life. When I tell you that CBT changed my entire life, like, going to those sessions, that was a huge turning point in my life, because I literally started to see. But I feel like the best way to describe depression is wearing tinted glasses. Everything's dark, everything's dull. And I started to go to these sessions, and it's like I started seeing life in a new light, in a literally new light. Like, things were colourful. Like, before, everything was black and white. Like, it was grey, it was horrible, dark. There was no light. Do you get it? But having gone through the CBT, yeah, it made a huge difference to my mental state. It made a huge difference to my mindset on life in general. The whole program was split into 10 different sessions. I think each session was 2 hours long, so I'd go there once a week, and I'd speak to this lady, my therapist. She was absolutely lovely. She knew what she was doing, and she really wanted to help me, do you know what I mean? At the time I was pregnant with Esme, like she really wanted to help me. She taught me how to break out of unhealthy habits, unhealthy patterns, taught me how to like take control of my brain and my thoughts. Like if I get bad thoughts, she taught me how to switch it around and switch it into something positive. We ran through a lot of events in my life, and it's like once everything was laid out and explained, because she used to make me write things down as well. It's like once everything was out and clear in front of me, everything fitted like a puzzle. Everything made sense to how I was feeling and how I'd got to certain points and why I'd done certain things. I'd have to do an assessment each session that I went, just on a scale of 1 to 10, different questions on this questionnaire about how I'm feeling, my mood, how I felt on this day, that day, etc, etc. And honestly, from session 1 to session 10, there was a huge improvement, there was huge development. And it's crazy that had been in this cycle, in this bad cycle for like a long time. Like when I say a long time, it was probably like 10 years. Do you get it? 10 years from when I was 11, 12, and then I received this CBT when I was about, I think I was 20, how old was I? 21, 20 or 20, no, I was 21 I think. Yeah, I was turning 21 that year. I went into my first session very skeptical. I didn't really think it was going to work. And I said that to her as well, but I was extremely honest with her. It's very important to be open and honest with your therapist. If you want genuine help and you want genuine improvements, you need to just lay it out all on the table how it is. Do you get it? So I did say to her in the first session, like I didn't really feel too hopeful. I didn't feel very hopeful about coming to this CBT because I have had counselling in the past and it just wasn't great. And she stopped me right there and said, this is not counselling, this is CBT. If you're not feeling hopeful about it and you're having negative thoughts about this whole thing, then it's not going to work, is it? And I thought, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance and we'll see how it goes. And guess what? It worked out. It really did work out, and I'm so happy that I done that. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are some people that will mock mental health. But listen, I don't understand, because we need to start caring about each other. We're all human beings at the end of the day. We all go through things, and we all need to just be a bit more mindful. People are really mean. People are horrible with their words, and people say things without even considering how it will affect other people. Like having that CBT, it was like getting a brain transplant. It was like getting a brain transplant. I'm not even joking. My mindset literally switched. My mind switched though. It really switched completely, and I honestly feel like I could never feel as depressed as I have done in my past because of the way that my brain is wired now. My brain is wired to change negative into positive, a negative thought into a positive thought. And if I'm going through a negative thought, I know how to get out of it. You never know what people go through. You never know what anyone has gone through. Don't get me wrong, we all have our bad days. We do. That's completely normal. It's about how we react and how we deal with these bad days. Do you know what I mean? And if you're having more bad days than good days, you should probably reach out for help. Don't be scared to talk to people. And the thing is with mental health is, because I don't completely understand not being able to speak to people, not feeling like anyone cares, or that you feel like you're alone in this. But there are people that genuinely care, and I swear down, my inbox, my DMs, my messages, they're always open for anyone who wants to chat. Like, don't ever feel like you're by yourself, because you're not. I have a lot of motivation now. I have a lot of motivation for life now because of how far I've come, because I know how far I've come, because I know what I've gone through in my life, and I know how much I've overcome. It's like I'm strong. I'm a strong girl, do you know what I mean? I'm a strong girl. If I'm completely honest, I'm extremely proud of how far I've come, and it's only onwards and upwards from here, baby. Just remember that you matter, you are important, your feelings are important. Yeah, you're a valid person. The world is not against you. You are strong. Like, if you've been struggling, you've been struggling, but you're still here. Why? Because each day you keep going, regardless. You keep going, you keep going, keep going, keep going. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel, even when you can't see that light, even when there's darkness, complete darkness, and you think there's no way out, there's always a way out. So yes guys, that is a little insight on mental health firsthand. I hope you guys took something away from this video, something positive. If you know anyone's struggling, send them this video. Let them have a watch. I have to address Mental Health Awareness Week because of how my mental health has affected and played such a huge part in my life. It's affected many events that have taken place in my life. Take care of your loved ones, check up on them. If people go quiet, if your friends go quiet, your family goes quiet, give them a call, see if they're okay. Do you know what I mean? See if they're good. Call up someone, tell them that you love them, that you care about them, that they're important to you. Show people that they're important to you if they are important to you in your life, because they may not even know, and they may be going through something and thinking they have no one. So yes, look after each other, guys. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for everything. Be kind, guys. Seriously. Be kind. Like, people go through real shit. Do you get it? And it affects people long term. You could go through something today that will affect you years to come. Do you know what I mean? So just be mindful for one another. Be considerate, be kind. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, leave a thumbs up. I don't even know what to say. This video has been a bit deep. I feel like I've gone all the way around the world. I hope it made sense. I hope I presented myself in a way that was full of understanding. So yes, I'll see you guys all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.